Where did he go? Hey, there he is.
Hey,
Mr. Big Shot. Yeah, that's right.
We're not worthy.
We already knew that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's.
I don't think he can hear us.
I don't think he can hear us.
Or he's not fazed by it anymore.
Can you play Hail? Can you play Hail to the Chief?
I think he's trying to figure out what's happening.
Yeah. Took him a second last time. There we go. He's connecting to audio.
Connecting to audio.
You got us now, Bill?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Mr. Big Shot.
You mean big shot? I'm just a little shot.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, it was a delight.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. You guys are doing all right because you have Miss Edmonds here, and so I
That's
thought
right.
she'd get up everything.
And she's in training to adjust to her cats, having her home all the time.
Mm-hmm. And
it's
she
like
still
running a daycare center.
Yeah, you still haven't adjusted yet. Some Monday mornings you get up and say, well, God, I ain't got nowhere to go.
Well, I can't remember what day it is. That's my problem. It's like, okay, what day? I have to go look at the calendar to try and figure out, or look at my watch and try and figure out what day it is.
I know.
Hey, you get the longer you go like that, the better it gets.
Yeah,
I'm liking it just fine.
Yeah, after a while, you don't check the calendar anymore because it's just another day.
That's right.
All you need to keep up with is like doctor's appointments. Other than that, you don't worry about anything else.
That's a nice part.
Okay, let's go ahead and call the meeting to order. Oh, go ahead, Joe.
Okay, just need to read
No, you could. I don't think we heard what you were doing, or whoever was doing it.
Yeah, somebody was playing
Hail to the Chief.
Oh, was that what? I don't know if it was Hail to the Chief or Bring on the Fun, and what was? This meeting is being held electronically via video conferencing. Declarations of emergency have been made at all levels of government, including the New River Valley. The COVID-19 virus makes it impractical and unsafe for New River Valley Juvenile Detention Commission to physically assemble in one location. This virus also makes it impractical and unsafe, as well as potentially life-threatening, for the public to gather in the same location to participate in the scheduled meeting.
Okay, Joyce, are you acting secretary today?
I don't think so.
No, it's Erica. She's standing next to me. She's gonna call.
Oh, okay. I didn't see her. Well, welcome, Miss Erica. And would you do the roll call, please?
Hi, Miss Hughes.
Present.
Miss Edmonds.
Here.
Miss Wynn.
Here.
Mr. Akers.
Here.
Mr. Brown.
Yeah. I lost the picture, but I'm still here.
Thanks for your time tonight. I know this looks a little different. Let's review the proposals from last meeting.
It's on Bill's side. Mr. Armentrout.
Here, sir.
You're here. Okay. And Mr. Stafford is absent with notice.
Okay. We have a quorum.
Sorry.
Okie dokie. I don't see anyone from the public. So therefore, I presume we will have no public address. We need to approve the minutes which were sent out a while ago. Did everyone have a chance to look at them? Any questions, comments?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the minutes are approved as transmitted. Do we have any unfinished business?
We do not.
Okay. We have a financial report. I think you just sent that out, Joyce.
I did. I just sent out the report that y'all normally see. It wasn't included in the original packet.
Okay, I don't think we've had a chance to take a look at it. So can you just kind of describe to us what you sent?
Sure. So it's the report like you would normally see. What I normally do is just go down and tell you if there's anything out of the ordinary expenditures wise. And this month, and I know Mr. Young has this on his report, at least I think, to talk about as well.
And we can talk about it here too.
In late December, we had a water main break, and that's required quite a few things to be paid out. We've spent almost $10,000 to have excavation done to find the source of the leak. They determined that it was the water main underground. It appeared to be rocks that had shifted under the earth and just knocked the line apart. In their course of excavating, they have had to cut up a portion of a neighboring driveway because our water meter is almost all the way down to the stop sign. Is that right, Joe?
It is. It's on Blades. It's on Blades Lane corner.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So there was $10,000 in excavation spent there. The water bill was astronomical, but they did reduce that down for us. When we first got the water bill, it was over $17,000. They reduced that down to almost $5,000. It was like $4,900. So that has our utilities overstated just a little bit. There are other charges that'll be coming in later on with the repair of the driveway that's down there, but we haven't gotten that done yet just because of weather. I have talked with our insurance company, but it is really looking like this won't be covered because there are exclusions in our policy for earth movement, underground things that are moving that aren't as the direct result of a earthquake or something like that. So we may end up not getting reimbursed for any of this. This may be all out of pocket for us. But that's about the only thing that we had out of the ordinary this time. And without you guys being able to look in it in advance, I'm not sure of anything else that I need to come out and mention. But if y'all have any questions later on, feel free to let me know.
Yeah, I would agree with Joyce because it's mid-year, so there aren't any red flags to us that we know of. Our budget's running as we expect it to be. The only thing being is that water main break. That's been an ongoing issue. Number one, because I was going to talk about my report, but here it seems timely. The issue I have with the town that we'll have to work out somehow is for some reason our personal property water line goes through 5 other personal properties to get to the water main because we used to be the only game in town on this end of the street. So when they started issuing conditional use permits to add apartments, they never moved our meter up to our property line. So that'd be like if Miss Edmonds, your water goes down, but you have your water meters down at CVS. So if there's an issue, you're responsible from the water meter to your house. You'd have to dig up that water line all the way down to CVS. That's basically what we're doing, and it makes absolutely no sense. We thought we had reached an agreement to where they said if we purchased the water meter, they would move it up here to our property line.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then they emailed or called back and said, well, that's true, but you need to hire an engineer to see if the new load of being moved up the line affects anybody else's water pressure in the area. And that could be upwards of $10,000 to $15,000, I think they said.
Yeah, they said that the engineer itself could cost anywhere from $10,000 up to $30,000.
Yes, that makes absolutely no sense to me. Still, that we have to go through 5 other personal properties to get our property. It doesn't make sense to me.
Who are you dealing with at the town?
We've dealt with the main guy that scans the ground all the way up to right below the town manager, and I think the town manager weighed in as well.
Yeah.
They wouldn't even come help locate the water line. They have the equipment to do it, and they said, we can't do it because it's your personal water line. We're like, come on. We're government entities. We're in the same boat. You mean to tell me you can't come help us? So actually the worker guys are the ones that really helped us. They came down with an electronic machine to do it, and one guy came with an old school thing and actually found where the leak was, because the excavator guy dug a day and a half trying to find it, and the town wouldn't help. It was like we were, nobody. It was horrible.
Well, is the line not in a utility easement?
But it's our personal property, they're calling it. Until it hits their water meter at the stop sign, they're saying it's our problem. They would not help.
Where are the lines for the other people?
That I don't know.
Well,
Ours goes down, if you're coming up to the detention home and you turn off the blades up our long driveway, and the townhouses are on the left, our water line runs through that ditch line.
but doesn't their water line have to run there too? So how did they distinguish whose property it is?
I don't think so. I think theirs might be run in the back or run up further up the hill.
So there's actually 2 water mains that run parallel to each other right there. So I'm not sure if that second line, and the second line does belong to the town.
Right.
But I'm unsure of whether it feeds those houses or the line behind those townhouses actually feeds them. Because when they were talking about moving our meter closer in, they were talking about using the water main that's behind the townhouses to get it closer to us, because that would be in essence closer to our building anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the lower level guys were the ones who were interested in helping and who were spilling out all of these ideas, and then they would go the next step up either to the utilities manager or the town manager, and they would get knocked down.
They would not help, because all they had to do is use their little line thing to locate the pipe, number one, but then they also have a device that can hear the leak, because you get this too. I just happened to be leaving, and I just knew, I from being here so long, I knew our water line runs there. Well, I was leaving one evening and saw water in the ditch, and it hadn't rained. I'm like, ew. The only water in that ditch is our water line. So I called Joyce and said, when we get in the morning, check with the town. We found out with the town, at that point, we'd lost 400,000 gallons of water. And the town hadn't said anything. And they said, well, you know what? We were going to get ready to call you because we were a little worried. 400,000 gallons? And we normally use how many, Joyce?
We usually, we use 10,000 gallons about every 36 hours.
And we used
our meter cuts at
400,000
10,000.
in 4 days. And they were getting ready to call it. Yeah, we will call. We thought there might be an issue. I'm like, they have all this technology, and we were even signed up for alerts. It's supposed to alert us if, there's an issue with your water, and we got nothing. And maybe that's why they dropped the bill from $17,000 to $4,900. I don't know. It's been a mess. It's been an
Well,
absolute.
what documentation do they have that it's your personal property as opposed to a town line?
Their
Because
argument
it's
is
on our side of the meter.
Right, it's
Anything
on our
from the
side of the meter.
meter on is the town, but anything that's on our side of the meter
Is
is
ours.
ours.
Does that sound right, Anthony? He's shaking his head, yes. And that's why that was my argument
Yes,
is
sir.
why is our meter not at our property? It's 5 properties over.
Yeah.
It's the
Why
part that
does
doesn't
it
make
run through
sense.
so many additional properties to get to us? I mean,
It
I
goes
could
through-
understand if we were still the only one back here.
Actually goes through 7. It goes through the 3 townhouses, so that's 6. And then the old lady's driveway we had to cut up at the corner. 7 private properties that we're responsible for the water line underneath. So I'm not dropping it by any case, but I want to get it fixed and done before I ruffle.
Yeah,
any
we
feathers.
can, once we get all the bills and all that stuff, we'll,
Yeah,
consider what action we should take.
because this is the 3rd time in the history that I know of in 23 years that we have fixed a water line break in that ditch line. It's about every 6 years we fix a leak, and we've been responsible every time. This one was just huge because of the water loss that we weren't aware of. Because
And the fact that it took so long to find the leak.
And that's when it broke cold and snowed, and the water had broke, and it hit a fissure in the rock because there's a lot of shale here, and it was flooding out the sheriff's office garage next door. They were wondering what the heck was going on. They thought a natural spring had sprung up down there because it flooded them out. All the water was going under the ground, following the rock over to the sheriff's office property. It was just a very little bit of it was coming to the surface. So,
And needless to say, it was shocking to get that call from Joe.
yeah, we've lost 500,000 gallons of water. We don't know where it's gone, but they said we've used it. We don't have enough toilets here to lose that much water.
It's too cold to be washing cars.
I know.
Well, I'm surprised I didn't see that much water racing past my house.
You might have. Might be a boogie board out in your backyard.
Maybe it's in the back field.
And the second part is we almost had a deal struck. Could they come dig the line up? We don't have equipment, and there's no excavator around here that'll drop everything they're doing to come help you. So Joyce found an older guy in Roanoke who agreed he would do it. And he came up it was the very next day, wasn't it, Joyce?
Yes.
Yeah, he came up. We're so thankful for him that he even came up to help. The town helped.
Yeah, because most people were putting me off by about 5 days to try to get out here and work on it.
So I forget how many.
So the property where the line runs all the way to Wade's Lane is your property.
I don't know if they're making that argument. They're saying we're responsible just because it's on this side of the meter. It's not our
Not
property.
necessarily the property. They're saying that water line is ours.
Yeah.
I got that
On their
part, 'cause
easement.
they don't want
I
to
bet it's
fix
in their
it.
easement.
But what I don't understand is how did they issue a conditional use permit to allow utilities to run across other people's property? Or is that an actual utility easement? I mean, it just sounds
Yeah, it needs to be
crazy.
researched. Yeah.
Right. So we'll let you add that to your to-do list.
Oh, it's on there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Did
it's on there.
when Trevor came out and did all of the study for the remodeling, was that in his information that he gave us? Because didn't he come out and do all of the waterway and
He did, and I think they're connecting the water back off of Cameron, I think.
But didn't they document where it was running to and the geological stuff?
Yeah, I'm
that's
sure.
what
'Cause
I was thinking.
I would have told him because it's been odd for me forever that what we're responsible for goes to other people's personal property. It doesn't make sense to me that we're responsible. It's not our line.
It might be worth pulling the stuff that he provided to us years ago to see what all was documented, because you would think that he would have raised a concern about that when he was doing his study.
Yep.
That's true. Well, we will look forward to hearing from you further on that.
Yep. Hope Bill comes back.
Joe, do you have anything else in your report?
Is that all for your financial, Joyce?
Sure, unless they have questions, which they probably haven't seen enough of it to have any questions, but.
Yeah. All right, on to my report. Currently, we had 8 kids this morning. We now have 7. We had 1 kid released to our new home electronic monitoring program. We started that in about the first or second week in January, I think, Tanya. We now have 4 participants. It's going pretty swimmingly. We have 2 kids from Floyd, 1 from Montgomery, and 1 from Pulaski. We have 1 kid in our goals program. Some program updates. The Department of Labor and
Can I ask a question about home electronic monitoring?
Yes, ma'am.
For the kids from the detention home who are on home electronic monitoring, is that just for the owners, or is it open to anybody?
Right now, it's open to the owners and Floyd, just because we're trying to get a handle on almost like a pilot program to see if it's feasible to do long term.
And then is Floyd paying the per diem rate?
They're paying the basic fee that everybody's paying, just because it's part of we're trying to see what's working and what won't work.
It's not kids that are in detention, Carol.
Yeah, they're not in detention. Yeah, these are kids.
They're out
Okay.
in the community.
Yeah, the kids out of, yeah. He can be a kid.
So,
you
but
know,
they're normally ones that, Tanya, you would have anyway.
Yes. So what we're doing, it's through the VJCCA grant. And so we started contracting when COVID hit with Intercept. But it was taking Intercept, anywhere from 3 to 5 days to get the kids up. So Joe and I have talked about this for years, saying it would be cool if the detention home could do it, because then they could, if they're coming out of detention, they could be hooked up before they hit the community. So we've been meeting with everybody trying to figure out if this is feasible. So we were the first one to try it because the judge put a kid on HEM through the courts. So normally that would have been paid through the VJCCA grant, and we would have been monitoring the kid. But we're contracting with Joe with the detention home. So he's monitoring the GPS coordinates and everything that's going on with that part. And then we pay for that service through the grant.
So if Carroll County wanted that service, they can't get it through our VJCCA grant. So how would they would have to pay the detention home directly?
Yes, they would pay it. Like if they have the VJCCA grant, the only kids that we're paying for are Montgomery County, because that's all my grant covers. So if Pulaski has a kid, Pulaski's VJCCA covers it. Radford's pays for Radford. So every locality pays for their own kid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Joe, can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Did I hear you say you have a Pulaski kid on there?
We do.
Did that transition go well with our VJCCA coordinator?
It was flawless. It was
okay.
Everything's gone really well. I mean, it's just Tammy was great. She got me the information I need. I got the information to her, and it's been very easy to communicate with.
Super. Thank you for letting me know that.
Yeah. Okay. Any more questions about HEM? Okay. Recently, the Department of Labor and Industry finalized some emergency temporary standards that we've been operating since July. And those are standards that deal with COVID-19, how to keep staff safe, a bunch of different regulations about masks and social distancing and disinfection, all that stuff. They became finalized at the end of January, and they become effective at the end of March. there were a few changes that kind of affect us that really kind of prohibits employees sharing vehicles. Not that it's been an issue anyway, but Joyce and Greg share a vehicle to get our groceries and stuff from like Sam's and BJ's. So if they would like to continue to do that, they both have to be fitted for an N95 respirator, because they'll have to wear that while they're in the car together at the same time. Or they can wear our big NASA space hood, PAPR, to where it looks like they're, you know, picking up ET at the mall. They've better defined what a face covering is, what a face covering is not. Because you can imagine people get creative of what they think they can cover their face with and count that as protection. So the standard actually defines what's acceptable and what's not. We've supplied all masks to staff from the very beginning. And with these new definitions, the masks we were providing were not in compliance with the new regulation. So we've ordered new masks, and hopefully they're covered by the grant. Hopefully we can amend the grant and get more money to pay for the masks.
What is different?
Before, there was no definition. The definition before said a face covering is anything that covers the face. It could have been any material, as long as it was covering the face. Now it has to be at least 2 layers of a cloth that's breathable and washable. It must fit snugly to the sides of the face. It must cover from the top of the nose to under the chin. Single layer gaiters are not allowed, but if they can double the gaiter up, it's permissible under the code, under the regulation. However, I've made a stipulation that we will not permit gaiters. So I'm not about to go around and see if people have doubled up their gaiter. People keep them around their neck and it's got where you've eaten in it, and just, no. It was a good excuse to tell people they can't wear a gaiter. There hadn't been any issues. So mainly it has to be at least 2 layers of a material. It can't be a face covering. Is not considered a surgical mask or an N95 respirator. That's not their intent either, to pull on the supplies that health professionals need. Just a typical cloth mask that everybody's probably been wearing at one point, that's at least 2 layers of fabric. We haven't had any issues, and most of the staff members here that were wearing gaiters were some of the bigger fellows with, you know, 6'5", big heads, big faces. So I located a supplier that makes double and triple ply masks for bigger fellows, and they fit fine, and they said they're very comfortable. So there haven't been any issues. And I just wear my plain Jane, my Hawaiian shirt one, by the same provider. It also made us establish occupancy limits for common areas and for the vehicles. We had to determine for any common area like the lounge, the administrative area, conference rooms, what a safe occupancy level would be for people to be able to properly socially distance themselves and stay safe. And that has to be posted, and it has to be enforced. The regulation makes clear that we're responsible for enforcing it, not just putting up a sign and ignoring it. So we're in the process of readjusting how we do shift change. Because Tanya, as you can remember, right there outside your office, you got 6, 7 bodies, and everybody's trying to get out and get this and that, and we really had to change that because that's not the safest way to do it. So that's what we're working on right now.
So is this just a juvenile justice requirement, or?
No,
No, it applies to
everybody.
everybody, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And we fall in, there are categories of what's your exposure risk probability to COVID-19, very high, medium, low. We fall in the medium, sometimes high. So that sets us into a certain category within the regulations that we have to follow. Because there are times that we would have to deal with someone who is positive for COVID. Knock on wood, we haven't had to do that yet with a kid. We're also capable of doing rapid testing in-house. We have the supplies and the machine where we no longer have to depend on the health department to do it. My understanding is the health department doesn't do it anymore anyway. So they do the one-day check for us when we need it. So it's been nice as well. the only other two things I have on my report are, one is looking at owner usage and how we factor that into the budget formula. Oh, there's another cute one.
Hey,
This is
Oh.
Gwendolyn.
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 Ah, she's so fancy.
Yeah,
Well, that's why she's Gwendolyn.
Yeah.
that's right.
Did you see her look at mom like put me down, and mom put her down?
They're training their mom. They're having to work hard.
That's right. That's right.
They would tell you that.
Yeah.
Yes,
Look
I know they would.
As I talked about earlier, looking at owner usage is we can look at Radford and if in fiscal year 23, and believe it or not, we haven't even started fiscal year 22 budget, but I'm looking at fiscal year 23's budget. Radford will have an average usage of 37 days. 37. If we continue to use the current funding formula, that puts them paying maybe $10,000 out of a $500,000 share. And I hardly think that that's equitable for being an owner. So it's obvious we need to relook at the funding formula to see one that's more equitable. Right now, I'm leaning at something that would look like half of the owner's share would be paid based on ownership and the other half would be based on utilization. That way there's that fixed cost that everybody's going to pay, whether you have one kid or 37 kids in a year. Because we're going to see Giles County is also trending down. So they'll be almost at zero. In another year, they probably might be at zero on average. They might be at 5 kids a year, which would mean they'd pay, $1,000 for a budget year to be able to use the kids. And that's, as we all know, it's common sense. That's not going to work and that's not feasible. So just know that we are working on that. We haven't ignored it. And the only other thing, back in the FY21 budget, if y'all can remember, I froze a position. Mr. Woolwine retired. At that point, I didn't choose to fill the position. I kept it open to try to see if we could manage running very lean. It's worked until now, probably about past 6-7 months. We're running pretty ragged, running that lean, so I intend to fill that position. As people have gotten comfortable with COVID-19, our kids' doctor's appointments have picked up, courts picked up, appointments, professional visitors have picked up, and it's a madhouse here Monday through Friday, 8 to about 1 o'clock. That person will really help us out. That person would also be used to cover when someone's out, because right now we're paying overtime and hourly wage, because right now we have the exact amount of people we need. If one person's off, someone has to work to cover that person. So that's what this additional position would do. We've been trying.
What's the title of the position?
It'll be a juvenile care supervisor. No, what do we call them now, Joyce? Juvenile care specialist.
Care specialist.
Specialist. Juvenile care specialist. I was going to say something, lost my train of thought. Because we need the coverage. Because if we have a visitor that visits and they're in meeting room 1, someone has to watch that. We're still watching class because our classes are running full steam. If you have video court running, if you have a non-contact visitor. The other day we had 2 courts running virtually at the same time. And one judge was upset because he had to wait 3 or 4 minutes because we had to find staff that could sit with these 2 kids while you're still trying to run class and medical transports. It really help out. I mean, Eric and I'll still be working the floor at times, and that's fine. It keeps us in touch, but we're really running ragged. And Lord help, when someone goes and gets tested for COVID-19, they have to be home on quarantine until they find out the results, or whoever they were with, and that takes people out for 3 or 4 days. So it's been something we've needed. I've been trying to fill it for about a week. I don't know if unemployment is so good that people don't want a job, but we're not getting any takers. We're really not. So this might be something that gets filled in July, August. I don't know. We don't know. And we also have an opening that occurred over the weekend for a staff member who abandoned the job. We don't know where he is. We're assuming he's alive. We've not heard. We cannot family won't call us back. He won't text us back, email us back. So that position will be filled as well. But maybe, yeah. So that's where we are. It doesn't sound as bad as it sounded right there at the last little bit, but it's really not that bad. It's different. I think if you took today and told us this is what it would be like 18 months ago, I think we all would say, well, we can't do that. That's impossible. I mean, the things that people are doing, not just us, just everywhere, of what we've adapted to do day to day has been incredible. We just keep on going, getting it done. Easy peasy. So, anybody have any questions or concerns? Not only, I was going to have it on the agenda, talking about minimum wage, but that was probably going to be a little too heavy for for February, because we'll have to look at that too, because we're passed in the state legislature, irregardless of what happens with the Biden administration. We have to look forward to that and preps for upping the minimum wage in the coming 3 or 4 years. That's all I have.
Do any commissioners have a report? Anything else? I think I left out asking about new business.
Yeah, we noticed that. We weren't going to say anything. There isn't any. There isn't any.
Well, I wasn't aware that there was going to be any, so anyway. So
it looks like
well,
the next meeting will be April 21st. And before then, I'm going to double check with our attorney, because after this meeting, we're going to be outside the 6-month window of where we were able to do the electronic meetings. So I'll just check and see if that's been extended. If not, we might have to meet in person. I'm not sure.
okay. I think we can probably manage that.
Yep. Well, I can tell you this facility is cleaner and more sanitary probably than the operating room, as much as it gets sanitized and washed in one day. It's like a clean room.
Did the majority of your folks get the immunization?
I think we're at like 85%. Yeah, I'm very happy with that. Across the state, it looked like other superintendents were lucky to get about 35 or 40%. All of the teachers except one, and the one that got COVID-19, he doesn't want the vaccine.
Is it because of the schedule, or is it because they're choosing not to take it?
They're choosing not to take it. So,
okay.
yeah.
So if there's nothing further, is there a motion that we adjourn?
Question right quick.
Yes, sir.
I know Joe said some of the, I guess, staff are reluctant to take the vaccine. What happens if that staff person gets COVID? One that say didn't want to take the vaccine.
Theoretically, and we are allowed to, the type of employer we are, we could actually mandate staff to take the vaccine. If they refuse to take the vaccine, that would be grounds for dismissal. I really don't want to go that route, so I don't want to force people into a healthcare decision that they don't want to make.
Right.
I have not made it a secret that if they were to contract it and to spread it here, then I would take that as a sign that they did not take the necessary precautions to prevent harm to others, and that we would deal with it on a case-by-case basis.
Question: if they were off work in the quarantine or in the hospital, how would their pay work?
If they're covered with, they would have FMLA, right, Joyce?
They would have FMLA.
Qualify.
If they qualify, and if they qualified for short-term disability, they would be able to apply for that as well, as using any of their banked leave time that they have.
Because up until the end of December, Mr. Brown, every staff member, whether they'd worked with us a day or 20 years, was protected that if they got it, they had a right to 20 days use for COVID-19 related issues. That expired at the end of December. So now they're going to fall under the normal FMLA serious health condition clause of the FMLA.
You know, nobody seems to be able to get the answer to this question. If you contracted COVID on the job and you died, you know, say you died, you know,
Yeah.
what liability would the home have, or their insurance, or whatever?
We had this discussion with the county too, and because we had an employee that was asking, would it be covered?
Like workers' comp?
Yeah, under workers' comp. And basically they said there's no way that unless you could prove that you never left your house and the only place you went to was work, that it wouldn't be covered under workers' comp.
Yeah, you didn't get food from the outside, bags, stuff from the grocery store.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, over the past week, I've heard a couple of people who haven't been eligible to get the shots until recently say that they're questioning it now because some of the news media is saying that the vaccine is only effective for 90 days.
No, the 90 days is tied to if you've gotten sick with COVID-19, you're only protected for 90 days. If they're still encouraging people to get the vaccine, even if you've had it. That was one case here, and the person still won't get it. So
They haven't been able to prove that, Becky, because they basically said it's so new right now. They really don't know how long it's going to cover us. Once we've had it, we don't know how long it's going to protect us from it.
Okay, thank you. So, do we have a motion on the table to adjourn?
Second.
Motion.
I got it.
Yeah. All in
Any Brown.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all.
Well, thank you very much. And our two celebrities, our special people, we're glad to see you today.
That's right.
All right.
Today's
And
Wednesday.
especially Gwendolyn and Jakey.
That's right.
Yeah, they'll make another appearance later.
Okay, all right.
There's still one more you haven't seen.
Uh-oh.
Oh, well, I have to get mine to come sit in my lap or something.
You
That's right.
will. Then we can just have them entertain each other.
That's probably correct.
If they're smart enough, they can be a stand-in for you guys.
That's exactly right.
They probably are, for me at least. Y'all
I
take
think
y'all.
care.
Jakey believes he is, for sure.
Yeah.
Carol, I hope you're really enjoying that retirement.
Okay, buddy.
Well,
I
it's
do
really
too.
nice not to have to do anything. You know, it's just something nice about that. Now, we'll see how it goes, but
Just
I'm doing the stuff I never had time to do before, so.
Mhm.
hope you like I am, getting up at like 9:30, 10 o'clock, you know.
Well, the
Yeah.
only reason I even get up at 7 o'clock is I have an 8 o'clock class, exercise class. So I've decided to
Mm.
just do exercise classes all the time right now. Maybe I'll do something else. Maybe I won't. I think I spend a whole lot of time trying to figure out how not to do anything that has any work related to it, like cleaning out the closets or cleaning out the basement. I can always find something else to do instead of doing that. So
I heard she still thought Bob Barker did The Price is Right.
that's one thing I don't do is watch game shows or soap operas. Now that I draw the line. but it's nice.
Congratulations.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Well,
See you,
guys.
everybody. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.